Witness: Taliban hang dead body in Afghan city's main square.
Here's a summary of the article.
Kabul, Afghanistan. The Taliban hanged a dead body from a crane in the main square of Herat city in western Afghanistan, a witness said Saturday, in a gruesome display that signaled a return to some of the Taliban's methods of the past. Wazir Ahmad Seddiqi, who runs a pharmacy on the side of the square, told the Associated Press that 4 bodies were brought to the square and 3 bodies were moved to other squares in the city to be displayed. Seddiqi said the Taliban announced in the square that the 4 were caught taking part in a kidnapping and were killed by police. It was not immediately clear if the 4 were killed in a firefight with police or after their arrest. Mullah Nuruddin Tarabi, one of the founders of the Taliban and the chief enforcer of its harsh interpretation of Islamic law when they last ruled Afghanistan, told the Associated Press this week that the hardline movement will once again carry out executions and amputations of hands, though perhaps not in public. Since the Taliban overran Kabul on August 15 and seized control of the country, Afghans and the world have been watching to see whether they will recreate their harsh rule of the late 1990s. The group's leaders remain entrenched in a deeply conservative, hardline worldview, even if they are embracing technological changes, like video and mobile phones.
This post received a score of 3,500, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
That's some real Old Testament shit.
To all those people who say we should hang them in the streets. Well, this is what it looks like. I'm glad I don't live where you do. No one says that where I live.
You are on Reddit, right? Whenever there is some terrible crime happening, Redditors are falling over each other thinking of the most cruel punishment imaginable for the perpetrator. What the Taliban do is relatively tame compared to what many Redditors fantasize about when it comes to how violent criminals should be treated.
Reddit taught me that war crimes is a relatively tame reaction to someone touching your motorcycle.
It's not a war crime if you're not a soldier.
So this is what the Taliban calls protecting human rights. How progressive.
Yay, they reserve the right to hang you for almost any reason. It's not about Blow Joe's rights, it's about them protecting their rights to do terrible stuff.
In this case, this was a foiled attempted kidnapping and the people they hung had been in a gunfight with them. There wasn't really an issue of mistakenly getting someone who didn't commit the crime. They did shit like this in the 90s and it was wildly popular with Afghans. That was the only thing they had going for them, ensuring a modicum of security in contrast to the lawlessness which usually prevails. Don't get me wrong, this is absolutely against UN Charter's human rights, but this particular incident is not near the top of the list of problems with the Taliban.
There is, barely, majority support for the death penalty in England, which abolished it in 1964 and has no plans of restoring it, despite our departure from the EU. It's actually considered a conscience matter, and any vote would for a free one. Sometimes the politicians are more liberal than the society they represent.
In other news, no American soldier deaths have been reported in Afghanistan during September.
In related news, USA is spending a bit less in foreign interventions, for now.
That money was already allocated. It's the next budget that will be allegedly reduced.
You'd think there'd be a very large portion of Afghanistan who's not for either side going around hanging dead bodies and beating people to death. Then again you'd think one half of America wouldn't be like, I know fascism is bad but that 70-year who has mob connections likes racism, too.
People don't really like the Taliban. For those in rural areas, they're just supporting who kills them the least. They was doing this shit 20 years ago. I don't know what people expected to change.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.